friends, this is a copy of my book, the one I own, called Stone Fox. And you'll notice that I wrote in my book. Now I know that you can't write in your book, but I'm going to ask you to use Post-it notes to take notes on the Post-its as you read the book, and then you can share your thoughts when we meet as a group. So when you read fiction, obviously you look at the picture in the front, you read the blurb on the back, but because we're reading a longer piece of fiction here, we're reading a small novel, we really do want to pay attention in the first chapter and second chapter to some very important questions. These questions are, who are my characters? Who are my characters? That's the first question. What is the setting? When and where? That's really important in a story. Authors choose the setting for very important reasons, and it's going to help us understand the characters better too. Where and when. And then, probably after characters and setting, the most important thing to look for as you read that first 15 pages is, what is the conflict? Or you might say, what is the problem that the main character has? What is the problem? Okay, so those are the three things we're going to look for, and I'm going to start with you. One day, grandfather wouldn't get out of bed. Sounds like a problem. He just lay there and stared at the ceiling and looked sad. At first, little Willie thought he was playing. Okay, so I've got two characters. I've got grandfather and I've got little Willie. Let's make that red for characters. I've got grandfather and little Willie. So two characters so far. One day, grandfather wouldn't get out of bed. He just lay there and looked and stared at the ceiling and looked sad. At first, little Willie thought he was playing. Little Willie lived with his grandfather on a small potato farm in Wyoming. Okay, so let's make that. Potato farm, that sounds like the setting. Let's make that blue. Okay, so potato farm, and it's in Wyoming, one of the states. Okay. It was hard work living on a potato farm, but it was also a lot of fun, especially when grandfather felt like playing. Like the time grandfather dressed up as the scarecrow out in the garden. It took little Willie an hour to catch on, to understand. Boy, did they laugh. Grandfather laughed so hard he cried. And when he cried, his beard, we'll go to the next page. And when he cried, his beard filled with tears. And you see, this is my picture of his beard filling with tears. Grandfather always got up real early in the morning, so early that it was still dark outside. He would make a fire. Then he would make breakfast and call little Willie. "Hurry up or you'll be eaten with the chickens," he would say. Then he would throw his head back and laugh. Once, little Willie went back to sleep. When he woke up, he found his plate out in the chicken coop where the chickens lived. It was picked clean. He never slept late again after that. That is, until this morning. Okay, now if this were a movie, you might hear dun dun dun, because here is where the author is trying to explain there's a problem. Okay, there's a problem. We're going to pay attention. What is the problem? Let's listen for that. For some reason, grandfather had forgotten to call him. That's when little Willie discovered that Grandfather was still in bed. Well, there could only be one explanation. Grandfather was playing. It was another trick. Or was it? Dun, 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 right? Get up, Grandfather, little Willie said. I don't want to play anymore. But Grandfather didn't answer. Little Willie ran out of the house. Okay, so if we just go that far, we see what the problem is. Grandfather's still in bed. And when you think there's an old person, hasn't gotten up, but they always get up, what do you say to yourself? What's wrong with him, right? Is he sick? Is he hurt? What's going on? So there's one more very important character that we're going to meet. A dog was sleeping on the front porch. Come on, Searchlight, little Willie cried out. The dog jumped to its feet and together they ran off down the road. Searchlight was a big black dog. She had a white spot on her forehead the size of a silver dollar. She was an old dog, actually born on the same day as little Willie, which was over 10 years ago. Well, that's amazing. A mile down the road, they came to a small log cabin surrounded by tall trees. Now again, we're talking about setting. So we've got a farm, Wyoming. Do you know a lot of people that live in small log cabins nowadays? So that's a clue about the setting. The when. Doc Smith, so the doctor, was sitting in a rocking chair under one of the trees reading a book. Doc Smith, little Willie called out. He was out of breath because he was running. Come quick. What seems to be the matter, Willie? The doctor asked, continuing to read. Doc Smith had snow-white hair and wore a long black dress. Okay, so she's an older woman. Her skin was tan, and her face was covered with wrinkles. Okay, so she's a really old woman. Grandfather won't answer me, little Willie said. Let's go to the next page. And here we have a picture, Doc Smith and Searchlight, and there's little Willie. What does Doc Smith say to him? Probably just another trick, Doc Smith replied. Nothing to worry about. But he's still in bed. Doc Smith turned a page and continued to read. How late were you two up last night? We went to bed early, real early. No singing or music or anything. Doc Smith stopped reading. Your grandfather went to bed without playing his harmonica? She asked. Little Willie nodded. Doc Smith shut her book and stood up. Hitch up Rex for me. Rex. Hitch up Rex for me, Willie, she said. I'll get my bag. Rex was Doc Smith's horse. Oh, that's who Rex is. He, Rex, was a handsome palomino. Little Willie hitched Rex up to the wagon, and then they rode back to Grandfather's farm. Searchlight ran on ahead, leading the way and barking. Searchlight enjoyed a good run. So we've got another character now, Doc Smith. So I read with you the first few pages. I'd like you to finish reading chapters 1 and 2. And again, the questions you're looking for are, who are the characters? What are we learning about the setting? And I gave you that little hint about the log cabin. So as you keep reading, oh, I'm sorry, this is a hint too, isn't it? Let's circle this about the setting. A horse. So what do you learn about the setting, the when and the where, and what is the problem? Okay, so before you come to group, please read through chapters 1 and 2. And on your Post-its, take notes as you read.
thinking about those three major questions we're looking for.
Thank you.